Welcome to a special edition of the Panther-Lair show. We're joined by a special guest here, Pitt guard, Marquette transfer, Greg Elliott. Greg, thanks so much for joining us. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you could join us. You've been in Pittsburgh. How long have you been in Pittsburgh now?
Oh, I got here Saturday.
Oh, okay, so less than a week, huh?
Yeah.
What do you think so far of the campus, the city, just kind of living here?
I've enjoyed it so far. Y'all got a lot more like hills and stuff than I'm used to. So like I like to go for walks and stuff. Like I try and limit that right now because these hills is crazy. So but other than that, it's a nice city. It's new, different, not too similar to Detroit, but it got similar vibes. So I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah, you gotta stretch your calves before you walk up and down the hills. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
You gotta loosen up. You mentioned being from Detroit. Now I wanted to actually start there. You're from Detroit, and I was looking at this before we started chatting. I mean, some good ball players have come out of Detroit. I mean, obviously, Chris Webber, your Jalen Rose, some of those guys who were really good at Michigan State in some recent years. Cassius Winston and Kalen Lucas. But I think most people don't tend to think of Detroit as like, New York or one of the, these basketball hotbeds. What's the hoop scene in Detroit? Like we said, some good players have come out of there. What's kind of the basketball scene in Detroit?
Usually it's like you're gonna get some tough guards. They don't come in there be hard-nosed, physical guys. Bigs pretty much the same thing. But I feel like we on the rise right now. We got some young guys that's coming up in the city right now that's been playing real good on the circuit. I don't really keep up with it too much, but the fact that I know they're doing well is a good thing. So I would say we definitely got some players that's on the rise, and Detroit and Michigan in general just a place to look out for.
Mm-hmm. I know there was the guy from Kentucky who got drafted this last year was from Detroit. I'm forgetting his name right now, but
yeah.
Is Michigan State kind of the school that gets most of the top guys from Detroit? Is that sort of the dominant program there?
I guess you could say that. I could say that Izzo does a good job of recruiting in the state for real. I don't know how it is with Juwan Howard at Michigan right now because it's been a while since I've been getting recruited.
Right.
But when Beeline was there, he did a good job as well recruiting the state. There was a big competition on who gets who. But no, it's honestly that some of the smaller schools are getting chances too. Like you just seen Imani Bates just ended up going home and playing for Eastern Michigan. So really it's just Michigan basketball is really on the rise right now in general.
Take me back a few years ago when you were coming out of high school. What did your recruitment look like?
My last three for real coming out of high school was Michigan State, Providence, and Marquette. So it was going. My process and stuff went good. It just was. I just ended up choosing Marquette to start out over Providence and Michigan State.
What led you to Marquette?
It was a chance to get away from home and like not be too far away from home. I felt like going to Michigan State would have been different. Like it would have been a new challenge, but I would have been super close to home. And at that time, I was real dependent on home. And I feel like I probably would have ended up going back a lot. So I felt like it was time for me to grow up and go be away from home and be my own man.
All right. Now you go to Marquette. You're there for 5 years. End up deciding to use this extra year, this super senior, COVID year, whatever people want to call it, to transfer. What went into your decision to transfer? I noticed I was reading that, you participated in senior day. Was this a decision you had made, earlier during the season or even before the season that you would transfer, or how did it all kind of come?
It was like, I would say it was something that just came about. I think we always pretty much knew I was going to participate in senior day because I didn't the year before. Because the year before is the guys that I came in with, I just had the injury. So I redshirted and put me back a year. So when I didn't do it that year, I knew I would do it the following year. And then I still could have and once I decided to, find a new home, it just was like, I felt like it was time for me to, do something different. I feel like I gave Marquette all I had to give them, So I felt like it was time for them to turn a new leaf and time for me to do the same as well.
So then, we just talked about the recruiting process. How different was your perspective and your approach when you go into the transfer portal and you're looking, I mean, it's kind of like getting recruited again, right? But you're
Yeah.
5 years older or 6 years older, you know, probably more mature. You have a different perspective on things because you've been to college. What were you looking for this time around when you were looking for a new school?
Well, like a chance to come in and be, you know, I want to come in and make a difference on the team I'm a part of. And then coming like with Pitt, it was really like I could see myself helping this program turn it around, and we go back to where Pitt basketball is supposed to be. And then it was just like the fit. It was more so like not where people wanted me, or where I felt like this, like the coaching staff and the players needed. Like they had a need for something that I did, and Pitt was like the perfect place because they had a need for my skill set. So
What, you know, I know these things seem to happen fast. After you went into the portal, how soon did you hear from Pitt? How quickly did they reach out to you?
um so it's crazy. So Jake Pursuti, that was assistant coach at Marquette when I was there. So he actually like a week, probably less than a week before I went, like not before, a week after I went to the portal, he texted me. I was telling me that they had a good situation for me at Pitt, but I didn't really like. I just, you know, started talking to him, listening to it, and I didn't really pay attention to it until he talked to my high school coach. So Jake ended up calling my high school coach, and I was like, we really have a great situation here for Greg, and I think it just started rolling from there. And then honestly, once I came on my visit, I just knew that this was the place for me that I can call home for a year.
So it was really, I mean, Pitt wasn't really a school that was on your radar until Jake called you
No,
coach.
it wasn't, honestly. It was. I didn't even think I was gonna be playing at Pitt. Honestly, I didn't know where I was gonna play. But if you was to tell me after I left Marquette that I'd be going to Pittsburgh to play basketball, I probably would have told you you was lying.
So what was it that sold you on the visit? You know what I mean? Like what made the decision for you?
Honestly, what sold me on the visit was sitting and talking with John. We sat and had some good conversation about, you know, basketball and like what he see for his future, what I see for mine. And like our goals is pretty much aligning. So if I can have that with one player, I can only imagine what it's like with the whole group. And then it was like we are going to be a new group at the end of the day, but we older. So it wasn't like we just was going out bringing in a bunch of young guys. So like we do have young guys, but at the same time, we got some veterans and guys with experience that's been around the horn of college basketball and know what it takes to win games when it's time to win games. So I feel like putting that all together could make a special team, and that's something we wanted to do.
It's interesting, you know, I've interviewed a lot of guys this spring, recruits and transfers, and they mentioned John, like you mentioned, you know, John Hughley really kind of getting involved and trying to do recruiting. You've been around college basketball for a while. I mean, how unique is it to see a guy like him be as involved as he was? Like you said, the conversation you had with him, I mean, it's almost like he's another coach or something, right? Like kind of recruiting for the team. How unique is it? And was that experience?
It was cool. Cause it's different. Like I feel like at the end of the day, like a coach's job is to, you know, to get you to come to their school. So it's different. Like when you really hear it from a player that's like, you know, they going through what you going through, or like, you know, y'all could have very similar backgrounds or whatever. So like just hearing it from him it just meant a little bit more, you know, like, and because he'd been out there, like he just played this year with Pitt, and he knew what his team needed to be more successful. And the fact that he felt like I could come in and help be a part of that, it just was big. So I feel, especially him being a, you know, he just was honorable mention all ACC. So if he feel like I can come in and help take his team to another level, or a team that he a part of to another level, then why not?
You mentioned kind of age and experience, and it's funny because like you're going into your 6th year, you know, Nelly Cummings 6th year, Nike Sabandy 6th year, Jamarius Burton's going into his 5th year. You feel like you guys might have the oldest backcourt in the country, or at least the ACC this year?
We might. I didn't even think about that, but we really might have one of the oldest backcourts in the ACC this year for sure. And I feel like that can only help us, in all honesty, because with that much experience, it's like at the end of the day, it's nothing that us four haven't seen when it comes to college basketball. Like we done seen that, the highs, the lows. So like, but for us having those younger guys around us, we can help guide them through that as well. Because, you know, you can't ever get too high and you can never get too low, because at the end of the day, another day coming and you still got to put work in, be the best you can be. So
obviously, you guys you're going to need to produce on the court, but do you feel like having veterans like you guys, particularly at the guard spots, can help set a tone for the team, kind of like what you talked about, not getting high, not getting low, that you can kind of set the tone for the locker room?
Definitely. That's the job. That's the job of the guards. Be able to keep the pace of the team and, you know, control what we need to control. You know, coach can't do everything, because if coach doing everything, then we won't get that far. So the fact that we got these veterans, you know, at the guard position, we'll be able to, you know, control things better and be on. Honestly, it's just good that we'll be able to be on the same page. I feel like us being on the same page is the most important part, because if we're on the same page, then nothing can, you know, take us off that. So that's where it all starts, us being on the same page and make sure we lead the right way, and then everything else will take care of it. So.
Right. I know you said you've been on campus for about a week. You know, how has it been spending time with like Nelly and Jamarius and Nike? Did you get a chance to talk to those guys maybe even before you got here? You know, how's that, the chemistry and relationship kind of building? I know it's a short amount of time, but how is it kind of coming along?
It's been good. So I talked to Nelly a few times before I came. I talked to Nike a few times. Honestly, I talked to all of them. I talked to them all before I ended up coming. They always like very like eager to know when I was coming. It was like, because usually I don't get to. Usually I'm at school for the first session. When I was at Marquette, I never really missed summer because I never wanted to go home that often. So I was at home with this one. So they was real eager to know when I was coming to school, and like when I would get there and when I was moving in, and like if I needed help, stuff like that. So they was real eager to help me out and stuff like that. But even when I got here, the relationship has been good, you know, getting the gym together, you know, put the work in. So like I feel like that's what make guys closer, you know, when y'all work out together, you know, early morning lifts, stuff like that. So that's only going to build our camaraderie as we go. So
it's kind of going to battle together, right? I mean, you kind of form bonds when you have to wake up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym, right?
Yeah. That's when the real bonds start.
Right, for sure. Now, I think, as you know, after you committed and people kind of looked at what you did at Marquette in your career, I think the first thing that jumps out to people is the shooting. Do you feel like that's the biggest thing that you can offer this team and bring to this team, is that threat of an outside shot?
Yeah, from what I was hearing, that was something that was lacking last year when it came to Pitt. So, I mean, that's something I do pretty well, the numbers say or whatever. So, I just wanted to, you know, like I said earlier, it was something that I wanted to come somewhere where I felt like they needed my skill set. And Pitt said, like, talking to Coach Capel and then the guys, like I said, like they told me like that was something that they needed. And like, what better feeling than to feel like somebody needs you in their program? So I felt like once it was that, I was told, like, and that's how I felt, getting that feel from the people around the program. It's no better feeling than that. So I feel like this is where I needed to be. So shooting, I can bring that toughness. And I'm not just a shooter. I can do more. I can score at all three levels for real. So, but definitely I can help a lot with the shooting aspect of my game. Now it's going to be way harder for you to double John if I'm on the same side or if I'm opposite corner, you know. So
that's what it's all about, creating space for him, right?
Yeah.
Draw guys.
He's a big dude to create space for, so we got to find a way to do it though.
For sure. What I mean, obviously, you know, the program has had its struggles over the last few years, but in the week that you've been on campus and the time that you've spent talking to the other guys and the coaches, I mean, how much do you feel like there is sort of a sense of optimism around the program for what this season can be?
Yeah, it's a lot of optimism. It's a lot of optimism now, and all our team not even here. So I can only imagine what it'll be like when we got all our guys here and we can go full go. But optimism is very high. We can see ourselves being a team that can compete in the ACC definitely. You know, so that's always our goal. But right now we just focus on winning every day, taking it day by day, building it brick by brick. So until we get to that point, we're just gonna try to win every day.
For sure. All right, Greg. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking a few minutes. It's been great to meet you. Welcome to Pittsburgh, and glad we could catch up. And thanks for your time and good luck this season.
I appreciate you.